In the first question, it says, write down the value of the 5 in the number 253624. So if we highlight 5, this is 5. If you remember your place values, the first is ones, then it's tens, then it's hundreds, thousands, and 5 is going to be 10,000s. So 5 has the value of 50,000. Then it says the crowd at a sports event is exactly 35,687. Write this number correct to the nearest 10. So for the nearest 10, we'll look at these two numbers. So if they're saying the nearest 10, that means we have to round 8 according to the number on its right. So since 7 is on the right of 8 and 7 is greater than 5, which means 8 will become 9. So 35690. That is the number correct to the nearest 10. Question 2 says, write on the number of lines of symmetry of this diagram. So if we draw the lines of symmetry, we can visibly see that the first line of symmetry is this. And if we draw another one, this does not give us like a symmetrical image above and below this line. Neither does a diagonal. So that means there's just one line of symmetry, which was the vertical one. Part B says, write down the order of rotational symmetry of this diagram. So if we draw this diagram, if we rotate it once, it's going to be like this. And if we rotate it again, it's going to be like this. So rotating it twice gives us the same shape as the original one. So that means the order of rotational symmetry is 2. Question 3 says, the table shows the average monthly temperatures in degrees Celsius in Vladivostok and find the difference between the highest and the lowest of these temperatures. So highest value over here is 20 and lowest is going to be -12. So we find the difference between these, 20 minus -12, that's going to be 32 degrees Celsius. In Feb, the average temperature is 37 degrees Celsius below that in Vladivostok. Find the average temperature in Yakut, whatever the name is, in Feb. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight the Feb temperature, which is -8. Since it's 37 degrees Celsius below, so we're going to do -8 minus 37. And that is going to give us -45. That is the answer. Question 4 says 2 cubes have a total volume of 150 centimeter cube. One cube has an edge of length 5 centimeters. Calculate the length of the edge of the other cube. Now, if you look at a cube has all equal lengths because all of the faces are squares. So if one of the cube has an edge of length 5 centimeters, so that means all of these lengths are 5 centimeters. And total volume of these two cubes is 152. So 152 is equal to volume of cube A plus volume of cube B. So if I call this cube A, Then cube B is going to be another one over here. So if we just draw this, this is your second cube. So volume of a cube has the formula of length times width times height. And since the length, width, and height are all same, so that means we're going to take the cube of the length of each side. So that means 152 is equal to 5 cube plus x cube. X is the length of cube B. 5 cube is 125. 152 minus 125 is going to be 27. Now, if we take the cube root of 27, that's going to give us 3 centimeter. So that's the value of x. Then it says work out the total length of all the edges of the larger cube. So since this cube A has the length of 5 for each length, and cube B we said has the length of 3 for each length, which means cube A is the larger one. So we have how many lengths for this? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12 lengths. So we'll do 12 times 5, which is 60 centimeter. That is the total length, which is basically the perimeter. Total length of all the edges of the larger cube. Question 5 says the diagram shows the net of a solid drawn on a 1 centimeter grid. So this is our net. Name the solid formed by this net and describe fully the dimensions of the solid. So if you look at this, we have 2 circles and then we have a rectangle in the middle. So the only shape that has 2 circle faces and a rectangle in the middle is a cylinder. Then the dimensions. So for a dimension of the cylinder, our main focus is the radius and the height. These are the 2 dimensions that we focus on in a cylinder. So radius is going to be from the center to the circumference, which if you look at this circle is 1.5 centimeter. And for the height, I'm going to count the boxes over here. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 centimeter is your height of the cylinder. So these are the required dimensions. Question 6 says write down a prime number between 10 and 15. So between 10 and 15, we have 11, 12, 13, and 14. We know 12 is not a prime number because 12 comes in the 6 times table, the 2 times table, 3 times table, and 4 times table, and as well as the 12 times table. And 14 is also not a prime number because 14 comes in the 2 times table, 7 times table, and the 14 times table. So the numbers we're left with are 11 and 13. So you can write either one of these. Then part B says an irrational number between 10 and 15. So once again, if you look at these numbers, a rational number is that number that cannot be written as a fraction. We know square root of 100 is 10. And we know square root of 225 is 15. So basically, any number between 100 and 225 being square rooted would be irrational. So let's say I pick square root of 150. So square root of 150 is a irrational number. Question 7 says 20 students were asked how many pets they owned. The responses are shown in the table. Number of pets are given and the frequency is given. Find the median number of pets. So since there are 20 students, so half of 20 is 10, which means we need to see where does 10 come in the frequency. So we know 3 plus 8 is 11, and 11 plus 3 would be 14. So since the median value is 10, so that means it's going to come over here in the number of pets 1. So that is your median value. Then it says calculate the mean number of pets. So for the mean number of pets, we're going to find the product of each number of pet and frequency and then add the result and then divide that by the total frequency. So by that I mean 0 times 3 plus 1 times 8 plus 2 times 3 plus 3 times 4 plus 4 times 0 and 5 times 2 divided by 20, which is the total frequency. So that's 8 plus 6 plus 12 plus 10 over 20. And that is going to be 36 over 20, which equals to 1.8. That is your mean value. Question 8 says, work out the following. So whenever we are adding or subtracting, unlike denominators, we have to first make the denominators equal to solve the fraction. So what we will do is we will multiply the first fraction by 5 and the second fraction by 3. Now this way, the denominator is going to be 15 for both the fractions, and the numerator for the first one will be 10, and for the second one, 9. So 10 minus 9 is 1, so 1 over 15. Then it says 3 over 5 divided by 2 over 3. When we're dividing fractions, we take the reciprocal of the second fraction. By that, what I mean is that we will flip the fraction. So 2 over 5 becomes 5 over 2, and division becomes multiplication. Sorry, this is 3. So now what we have is 9 over 10. Question 9 says, write these lengths in order of size, starting with the smallest. So first, let's convert all of these in the same metric unit. There's no restriction. You can convert them into centimeters, millimeters, or even meters. So we know 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. 1 meter is 100 centimeters. 1 centimeter is 10 millimeter. Let's convert all of these lengths into the smallest unit, which is the millimeters. So 1 kilometer is 100. 1 kilometer is 1,000 times 100 times 10, which is your 1 million millimeter. 1 meter is going to be 100 times 10. So that is 1,000 millimeter. And we already know 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters. So 32,000 centimeter in millimeters is going to be 320,000 millimeter. This remains the same. 3.1 kilometers is going to be 3.1 times a million, which is going to be 31,000 millimeters, and 34 meters is going to be 34 times 1,000, which is 34,000 millimeter. So now if we compare, the smallest over here is, if we compare all of these values. The smallest is 33,000 millimeter. Then we have 34 meters because 34,000 millimeters comes next. And third is going to be 32,000 centimeters. And lastly, 3.1 kilometers. This is from smallest to largest values. Question 10 says the table below shows the monthly rent for 9 apartments and the distance of these apartments from the city center. Complete the scatter diagram. The first 4 points have been plotted for you. So now if we complete this, let's write the values on the side first. So we have 2 and 480, 4.3 and 270, 2.3 and 390, 3 and 360, and 1 and 530. So for the first value, 2 and 480, you know, this is 2 and 480 is going to be somewhere over here. This is your first value. Then 4.3 and 270. So 4.3, 270 first is going to be from here. That's going to be over here. Four point three and 270. Then 2.3 and 390. That is going to be over here. Then 360. That's going to be 1, 2, 3. This one and 1, 530. So that's going to be 10, 20, 30. I think that is that. Let me just check. Nope. It's the one next to it. Okay, these are all of our values. Next, what they're asking us to do is to find out what type of correlation there is. So since as one value increases, the other value is decreasing, which means there is negative correlation. Then in the next part, it's saying on the scatter diagram, draw a line of best fit and then use your line of best fit to estimate the monthly rent for an apartment, which is 4 kilometers from the city center. So let's go back to our exact values. Line of best fit is going to be this. We have equal number of points above the line and equal number of points below the line. So this is the line of best fit. And for 4 kilometers from it, this is our point. So monthly rent is 70, 89, 260. $260 is our monthly rent. In question 10, it says 100 adults were asked the color of their car. The results are shown in the table. Write down the relative frequency that one of these cars is blue. So this is the portion for blue. We have 23 blue cars and total adults are 100. So that's going to be 23 over 100, which can be rewritten as 0.23. A different group of 1200 adults were asked the color of their car. The relative frequency of one of these adults owning a white car is 0.3. Find the number of these adults who own a white car. So what we will do is, we will multiply 1200 by 0.3, because 1200 is the total number of adults in the group and 0.3 is the relative frequency of the people who own the white car. So if we multiply the two, we get the exact number of people who own a white car. So we move the decimal one place over here, eliminate a 0. So that's 120 times 3, which is 360. That is the number of people. In question 12, it says, by writing each number correct to one significant figure, estimate the value of this. 0.28 correct to first significant figure is going to be 0.3. 37.4 is going to be 40. And 77.8 is going to be 80. So we do 0.3 times 40 divided by 80, which is going to be, the zeros cancel out, 1, 2. So 0.3 divided by 2 is 0.15. Question 13 says expand and simplify. We'll multiply the first term with both the terms of the second bracket, and then the second term of the first bracket with both the terms of the second bracket, which means x times x plus x times -4 plus 3 times x plus 3 times -4, which is x squared minus 4x plus 3x minus 12, which is x squared minus x minus 12. Then we have 5 times x plus 2 minus 2 times 2x minus 1. Same thing, we multiply 5 with x and then 5 with 2. Then -2 with 2x and -2 with -1. 5 times x is 5x. 5 times 2 is 10. -2 times 2x is -4x. And -2 times -1 is +2. 5x minus 4x is x. 10 plus 2 is 12. That is your answer. Write as a single fraction in its simplest form. Once again, the same thing, we're going to make the denominators equal first. Since 3 and 9 come in the same times table, I can just multiply the first fraction by 3 instead of doing like the second fraction by 3 as well. Because when we do that, we have 12b over 9 plus 5b over 9. As you can see, the denominators are equal now. We can just add the numerators, which will be 17b over 9. Question 14 says, write 0.000863 in standard form. What we'll do is move the decimal 1, 2, 3, 4 places to the left side. Hence, 8.63 times 10 to the power of -4. Why -4? Because we moved 4 places to the, it's going to be 8.63 times 10 to the power of -4. Why -4? Because we're moving 4 places to the right-hand side. In part B, the table below shows the approximate area of some deserts. So as you can see, we have a column for the names of the deserts and then the area in kilometers square. Write down the name of the desert with the largest area. So largest area would be that which has the highest power of 10, which is in Antarctica. So this is the largest one. Then it says, calculate the total area of the Arabian and the Kalahari deserts. Give your answer in standard form. So let's add these up. Arabian is this. Kalahari is this. 2.3 times 10 to the power of 6 plus 9.0 times 10 to the power of 5. I'm going to take 10 to the power of 5 common. So that leaves me with 2.3 times 10 plus 9 in the bracket. 10 to the power of 5 times 23 plus 9, which is going to be 32. So 32 times 10 to the power of 5, which in standard form is going to be 3.2 times 10 to the power of 6. Because we moved the decimal one place to the left-hand side, so we add a number in the power, so 5 becomes 6. Evaluate 7 to the power of -3 divided by 7 to the power of -4. So let's write it as a fraction. In indices, whenever we have similar bases being divided, we subtract the powers, which means 7 to the power of -3 minus -4, which is going to be 7 to the power of -3 plus 4, and that is 7. Then find the value of k when 3 to the power of 6 whole power k equals to 3 square. So whenever there's a power inside the bracket and outside the bracket, we will multiply these. So it's going to be 3 to the power of 6 times k. And now since the bases are same, we can put the powers equal to each other. So 6k equals to 2 and k equals to 1 over 3, because 2 divided by 6 is 1 over 3. Simplify the following. So once again, we have a power outside the bracket. So as we said before, we multiply the power outside the bracket with all of the powers inside the bracket. It's going to be 3 times 2 to the power of 2 times 2 times 3 to the power of 3 times 2 times 5 to the power of 4 times 2. That's going to be 3 times 2 to the power of 4 times 3 to the power of 6 times 5 to the power of 8. Now we multiply the 3 with the 3 to the power of 6. So that's going to be 2 to the power of 4 times 3 to the power of 7, because this one gets added to this 6. So 6 plus 1 is 7 and 5 to the power of 8. So that means A is 4, B is 7, and C is 8. Question 16 says, is a vector P with the coordinates 2, 3 and vector Q with the coordinates -3 and 2. On the unit grid, draw and label vector P. So since the coordinates are 2, 3, x is 2, y is 3. When I say x is 2, that means I'm going to go 2 units to the right and 3 units up for y, which means our vector is going to be This is vector P in the positive direction. Then draw and label vector 2 Q. So Q is -3 and 2. That means 2Q is going to be -6 and 4. So since X is -6, that means we're going 6 units to the left. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we're going 4 units up. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is your vector for 2Q. Then it says on the unit grid below, draw and label vector P minus Q. P was 2, 3, and Q is -3 and 2. So if we subtract Q from P, that's going to be 2 minus -3 and 3 minus 2, which is going to be 5 and 1. So we go X units to the right. So that means 5 units to the right and 1 unit up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 unit up. So this is your vector P minus Q. Question 17 says the scale of a map is 2 centimeter to 1 kilometer. The area of a wood on the map is 6 centimeters square. Calculate the area of the wood in kilometers square. So 2 centimeter is equal to 1 kilometer. So 1 centimeter would be 1 over 2 kilometers. So for 6 centimeters square, we first do 1 centimeter square. So 1 centimeter square is going to be 1 over 2 times 1 over 2, which is 1 over 4 kilometers square. And now we do 6 times 1 over 4 to convert 6 centimeters square to kilometers square. So that's going to be 3 over 2 kilometers square, which is 1.5. Then in the next part, in question 18, it says, in the Venn diagram, shade the region separated by P intersection Q complement. So Q complement is basically all those elements which are not a part of Q, but intersect with P. So that's going to be all of this. This shaded part includes P, but not Q. And since Q is a subset of P, so this is an intersection as well of P intersection Q complement. Then it says a club has 32 members. 14 of the members are female and 18 of the members are male. Female is 14, male is 18. 5 of the females have black hair. 6 of the males have black hair. We have a universal set of members of the club. F is for females and B is for members with black hair. So if there's a total of 14 female and 5 have black hair, so that means this is the intersection. This is the intersection between female and black. And for just female, we do 14 minus 5, which is 9. So these female do not have black hair. And for the black hair, we know that out of the 18 males, 6 have black. So this is going to be 6 over here. Why not in the middle? Because these aren't women. They're just men with black hair. So this is just going to be in black hair set. And for the remaining ones, we will do 18 minus 6, which is 12. So these 12 men don't come in the female set or the black hair set. Question 19 says B, D, E, F, G. Question 19 says B, D, E, F, and G are points on the circumference of a circle center O. AC is a tangent to the circle at B. Angle DFG is 75. Angle ABG is 48. Find angle DEG. So angle DEG is basically going to be this thing. So there's a rule for in circle theorem that whenever you have an angle coming out of the same chord, and that angle, like all of those angles are going at the circumference, then that means that angle is going to be the same for all those points. So we have angle F coming out of the same chord, which is DG, and angle E is also coming out of the chord DG, and both these angles are at the circumference. Hence, DEG is going to be the same as GFD, and that is 75 degrees. Then they're asking find angle DOG. So for angle DOG, that is this part. For DOG, there's another circle theorem rule that whenever you have angle at the circumference and then there's an angle at the center and both these angles are coming out of the same chord, then the angle at the center is double that of the angle at the circumference, which means DOG is going to be 2 times GFD. So 2 times 75, which is going to be 135. Lastly, find angle DBC. So for DBC, that is this part. This is the angle that we have to find. So for this, what we do is, we know that F, G, B, D are all points on the circumference. And since this shape is a quadrilateral, it has 4 sides, and since all of the points are touching the circumference, this means that G, F, D, and B is a cyclic quadrilateral. Since it's a cyclic quadrilateral, that means that opposite angles equal to 180, which means to find angle DBG, I can do 180 minus angle GFD. So that's going to be 180 minus 75, which is going to be 105. So if this is 105, we can easily find DBC by subtracting 105 and 48 from 180, because angles on a straight line equal to 180. So DBC is going to be 180 minus 105 minus 48, which is going to equal to 27. Question 20 says f of x equals to 6x plus 2 over 5. Find f of 3. So we just substitute x with 3. So 6 times 3 plus 2 over 5. 18 plus 2 over 5, which is 20 over 5, and that is 4. Find f inverse of x. So for that, what we do is, We start with putting the function equal to y. That means y equals to 6x plus 2 over 5. Cross multiply to get rid of the fraction. 5y equals to 6x plus 2. Bring the 2 to the left-hand side. So 5y minus 2 now. And then divide 5y minus 2 by 6 to make x the subject. Now in the last step, replace x with f inverse x and y with x. So we have 5x minus 2 over 6. That is your inverse. Then y is inversely proportional to x plus 1 whole square. That means this is what we have. And since it's inversely proportional, the proportionality constant will be k and divided by x plus 1 whole square. This is our equation. We put y equals to 2 and x equals to 3 to find the value of k first. So 2 equals to k over 3 plus 1 whole square, which is 2 equals to k over 4 square, 2 times 16, because 4 square is 16, and that's 32. So k is 32 and we have y equals to 32 over x plus 1 whole square, 32 over 9 plus 1, because they've said that find the value of y when x is 9. 32 over 10 square, which is 32 over 100, and that's going to be 0.32. That is your value of y. Factorize the following. So I'm going to split this into two groups. In the first group, we have a common. So in the bracket, we'll have 5x minus 3y. In the second group, we have negative 2c common. So we'll have 5x minus 3y again. Now between a and negative 2c, we have 5x minus 3y common. So a minus 2c comes in the second bracket. Now you factorize 15x squared minus 7x minus 4. So we first multiply our coefficient of x squared and the constant. So 15 times 4 is 60. Now we find factors of 60. Factors of 60 are 60 times 1, 12 times 5, 30 times 2, 20 times 3, and 6 times 10. Now, out of these factors, we have to pick that set of factors which, when either added or subtracted, gives us the middle term, which is 7x. So we know that 6 plus 10 is 16, and 10 minus 6 is 4, so that's out of our options. 2 plus 20 plus 3 is 23, and 20 minus 3 is 17. So that's also out of our options. 30 plus 2 is 32, and 30 minus 2 is 28. Once again, out of our options. 12 plus 5 is 17, but 12 minus 5 is 7, which means we will replace 7x with negative 12x plus 5x. So as you can see, if we combine the negative 12x and 5x, that's going to go back to negative 7x. So we're just rewriting the equation in a different form, which helps us in factorizing it further. So now that we have 4 terms, we're going to divide the first 2 terms. We're going to divide 4 terms into 2 groups. The first 2 terms make one group, and the last 2 make another group. Between the first 2 terms, we have 3x common. So in the bracket, we'll have 5x minus 4. And between the last 2 terms, we have plus 1 common. So 5x minus 4 in the other bracket. So between 3x and plus 1, we have 5x minus 4 common. So in the second bracket, we'll have 3x plus 1. That is your factorized answer. Question 23 says rearrange the formula to make x the subject. So let's start by cross multiplying and getting rid of the fraction. So we have 2xy minus y equals to 3x plus 2. I'm going to collect the terms with x on one side. So 2xy minus 3x equals to 2 plus y over here. I'm going to take x common. So we'll have 2y minus 3 in the bracket. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep x on this side and divide 2 plus y by 2y minus 3. Now this way x is a subject on one side and everything else is on the other side. 24 has given us two matrices and they're saying that given that m times n is equal to n times m, we have to find the value of k. So let's start with finding m times n first. 1403 multiplied with k104. So when we are multiplying matrices, you start with multiplying the first row with the first column, then the first row with the second column, and then we repeat the same steps on the second row. So second row times the first column and second row times the second column. So it's going to be 1 times k plus 0 times 1, then 1 times 0 plus 0 times 4, then 4 times k plus 4 times plus 3 times 1, and 4 times 0 plus 3 times 4. So that's going to be k over here, 0 over here, 4k plus 3 over here, and 12 over here. Now we find n times m now. That was m times n. This is n times m. It is going to be k104 first, and then 1403. So k times 1 is k, 0 times 4 is 0, k times 0 is 0, k times 3 is 3k, 1 times 1 is 1, 4 times 4 is 16, 1 times 0 is 0, and 4 times 3 is 12. That's k, 17, 3k, and 12. So since they're equal, that means we can put 4k plus 3 equal to 17. And we can find the value of k. So that's going to be 4k equals to 17 minus 3, which is 14. So 4k, so k is going to be 14 over 4, which is 7 over 2. In question 25, it says in triangle ACD, B is the midpoint of AC and E is the midpoint of AD. AB is 6A plus 3B and DC is 5A plus 2B. Express as simply as possible in terms of A and B the value of AC. So for AC, since B is the midpoint of AC and AB is 6 plus 3B, so AC is going to be twice of AB, which means 2 times 6A plus 3B is going to be 12A plus 6B. That is your AC. Then it says find AD. So for AD, what we can do is AD would equal to AC plus CD. AC we already know is 12A plus 6B from the previous part, and CD is going to be the opposite of DC, which is going to be negative 5A minus 2b. So that's going to be 12a minus 5a plus 6b minus 2b, which is going to be 7a plus 4b. That is your AD. What we basically did was we took this route. We started from A, went to C, from C we went to D. So that is basically the same as AD. Then in the next part, show that EB is parallel to DC. To show that, what we're going to do is, we need to find EB first. So to find EB, I'm going to take the root of EA plus AB, which is from here, then I'm going to go here. So that's going to give me EB. So EA is basically going to be half of AD. AD was 7A plus 4B. So we have to find EA. EA is going to be half of AD, but with negative direction because we're going in opposite direction now. We're not going from A to E, we're going from E to A. It's going to be negative 1 over 2 times 7A plus 4B, which is negative 7 over 2A minus 2B. So now if we replace that over here, negative 7 over 2A minus 2B plus 6A plus 3B. So combine the like terms, negative 7 over 2A plus 6A minus 2B plus 3B is plus B. This is going to be 2, negative 7A plus 12A plus B, which is going to be 5 over 2A plus B. So now if we compare DC with EB, since we're trying to show that they're parallel, DC is 5A plus 2B and EB is 5 over 2A plus B. If we multiply this by 2, that's going to be the same as 5A plus 2B, which is DC, which means DC is twice of EB. And that's your answer.